Hello, we are entering into a season of the church year we call Lent. It's kicked off by Ash Wednesday. Some of you, if you grew up in the church, you may know these words and terms. Others of you, if not, you're like, well, that kind of sounds familiar. So I just want to do a really brief overview of the value. What is Lent and Ash Wednesday? What are some of the values it can bring to us as Christ followers? And unpack some questions you might have about those two things. So these are ancient traditions in the church, and they're beautiful traditions. We have really this idea of fasting before Easter, this 40-day fasting. It shows up in early church history, in the first council, actually, early church meeting of Nicaea. They spoke about Lent as a period of fasting for 40 days in preparation for Easter. And so in many places and throughout Christian history, they've abstained for food from a whole day until the evening or sunset. Other places it's just been on a Wednesday in particular. Modern Christians, kind of pick this up to a degree. Well, I'm going to fast from X during Lent. And then Ash Wednesday, which kicks it off, which we're doing an Ash Wednesday event. It's a Zoom connection, but beforehand, actually, it's a tactile. It's great for kids as well. You have to pick up a little packet from Dunn Brothers in Arden Hills. You can do the drive-through even and say, hey, I'm with this church. I'm supposed to pick up a packet? Yep, you are. But Ash Wednesday kicks off the season of Lent. Lent is about slowing down. It's about penance, about self-reflection. And we see this actually as deep biblical roots. In Daniel chapter 9, they associate fasting with ashes. Jesus, for 40 days before Easter, is in a desert, basically fasting. And so there's these strong biblical connections. And when you fast, a couple things happen. One, you realize your dependence on something. And so as Christians, it helps us realize we have a dependence on God. But often when we fast, we remove ourselves from one thing so we can feast in another thing. So we fast from television, not just for the sake of television, but so we can feast maybe more time in God's Word. We fast from some of the negative thoughts or thought patterns we have, and we feast in prayer when we experience those to change us. And in Ash Wednesday, this tradition of putting ashes on our forehead, it's about 1,000-year-old tradition, actually. And when you think about it, we're actually reminding ourselves of our own mortality. From dust you came, dust you shall go. And it's slowing down, doing self-reflection, examination. It's a reminder, actually, we're not eternal until we get to Easter. It's actually the resurrection that gives us new existence, new life, new bodies, literally, that won't turn to ash at some point. And so, really, you have this great season in the church that sometimes, I'm just going to fast from something random, chocolate, and we'll kind of disassociate it. But it's this opportunity to fast from something so you can feast from something else. It's a opportunity that when we fast, there's a clarity that comes of what am I dependent on? What should I be dependent on that I'm not in this season? These are all such great questions for us to think through as we walk towards Easter. And we'll actually, this whole series coming up called Wilderness, be looking at that text where Jesus spends 40 days in the wilderness. And we'll ask, we've kind of been in a wilderness season in the last number of months. And so we'll ask, what does Jesus, how can we meet Jesus in this wilderness in some beautiful and profound ways? So I look forward to Lent with you and Ash Wednesday with you. God's grace be upon you.